Well, hi.
Victoria.
I'm wearing my traditional Christmas skulls, so, Christmas skeletons. It came upon a midnight clear, that glorious song of old, from angels bending near the earth to touch their harps of gold. Peace on the earth, goodwill to men, from heaven's all gracious King. And the world in solemn stillness lay to hear the angels sing. Still through the cloven skies they come, with peaceful wings unfurled, and still their heavenly music floats o'er all the weary world. Above its sad and lowly plains they bend on hovering wing, and ever o'er its babble sounds the blessed angels sing.
How about we do the first verse again?
You want to do the first verse again?
Yeah.
We're doing the first verse
You
again.
guys know the first verse, right? Sing along with us.
It came upon a midnight clear, that glorious song of old, the angels bending near the earth to touch their harps of gold. Peace on the earth, goodwill to men, from heaven's all gracious King. The world in solemn stillness lay to hear the angels sing.
Woo, thank
morning.
you. What a way to start. Thank you so much. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Unity of Tacoma. My name is Reverend Lori Irwin Johnson, and I am the spiritual leader for today. So if this is your first time here, I'd like to welcome you. And if you've been here before and you've decided to tune in online again, we're so glad to have you back. Every time you're here, whether you're here in person or you're online, we're so happy to have you. So welcome, welcome, welcome. I'd like to introduce our musical guests. You just heard Matt and Becky. Wonderful sound. They are all in the colorful theme that we have going on today with the rainbow and tie-dye. So thank you for doing that.
certainly.
I think Matt wins with his, but I anticipated that. So
Yeah.
there you go. So thank you for being here, and I look forward to your music. Today is the second Sunday of Advent, and it is snowing right now. Yay! Throughout the holidays, we'll be talking about the birth story, and we'll be talking about it from a metaphysical standpoint, a literal standpoint, a mythological standpoint, and a historical point of view. So stay tuned for this wonderful saga of the birth story that will unfold in a different way than you've probably heard. I'd like to start off today's service, though, with the prayer for protection. If you know the prayer for protection, please say it with us. If you don't, just close your eyes and listen. It's a beautiful prayer. So let us pray. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. And wherever we are, God is and all is well. So as we sit in prayer, we sit in this quiet space. We open ourselves up to what is to be heard, and what is ours to do. Wherever we are today with our friends, some friends being at home, some friends being here, we're so glad to have each other, no matter where we are. Because even if we're not in the same room, we are sharing consciousness. No matter where we are connected by the invisible thread of the divine. So as we go into this service today, we go in with gratitude. Gratitude for each of us, gratitude for the message being heard, gratitude for what we take away today. And we go in peace, as today is the second Sunday of Advent, and peace is our topic and our theme. So as we move forward, we're so grateful. We say thank you, thank you, thank you. And know it is so, and so it is. Amen. I'm going to invite them back for another song, and then we'll come back for affirmation and message.
Thanks, Lori.
So there's a part in here where you can join. We do the Dona Nobis Pacem, and for those of you that know this or were subjected to it in choir for many years, you better know this.
Dona nobis pacem.
You can join in.
Peace.
There's a verse that we will sing, and then join in on the Dona Nobis when we begin that.
If I could have one wish come true, it would be peace for me and you, peace in our hearts and peace of mind, peace now and ever for all mankind. So may our voices never cease, so may we sing our song of peace.
You can join in on the Dona Nobis now.
Dona nobis pacem pacem, dona nobis 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 pacem.
We'll do that again. You can do whichever version of Dona Nobis you want to do, and we can blend it all together.
Dona nobis pacem pacem, dona nobis pacem, dona nobis pacem pacem, dona nobis pacem.
Now you guys stay on the Dona Nobis. Here we go.
If I could have
Great job, everyone. Thank you. Wow. Oh, what a wonderful day. And it stopped snowing. So we're going to continue to watch and see how that unfolds. I'm going to allow it for now. Like I have some kind of control over it. When I was a little girl, I thought that was a thing. You know, I'd go outside and I'd be like, okay, rain. And then I'd sit there and wait. And it works sometimes, though. Enough to enforce that till I still remember it today. So there you go. We got lots of things going on around here. Outside, we have things going on. We have a Christmas thing going on outside our windows. So snow and Christmas music. It's awesome. And then having you guys here, thank you so much. It's not. It's really not. Our affirmation for today. May my heart and mind be established in the peace of God. Let's say that together. May my heart and mind be established in the peace of God. And our reading for today is from Reverend Robin Myers from his book, Saving Jesus from the Church. That's an interesting title, but it's a great book. In the earliest strands of the Christian tradition, followers of Jesus moved decisively away from God as apocalyptic judge and practiced instead a gospel of present healing. When Jesus called out demons and lifted curses from the afflicted peasants before him, he did so for one reason. He was filled with compassion. He was not trying to follow the law, get elected to office, or establish a rogue medical practice outside the jurisdiction of the temple. He did it to try to relieve suffering. He did it to restore broken human beings to wholeness. He did it to help those bent over by their own feeling of worthlessness to stand up. There were apparently no preconditions, no theological requirements, not even a form of proper Jewish ID that was required. Gentiles were welcome, female and male, slave and free, rich and poor. The consequences of such radical hospitality were as unacceptable in the first century as they would be in this one. True equity terrifies those who depend on hierarchy to run the empire. Perhaps faith, then, is not a transaction at all, but a covenant of compassion with only one requirement. It obligates the recipient to become a healed healer, taking the reign of God to others. As for Jesus, he was not the kingdom's patron, and the disciples were not its brokers. The benefits of the reign of God would be freely given to anyone. The only debt owed for hospitality and healing would be for the clients of the kingdom to turn around and heal likewise, in the name of the open table and a God of pure compassion. The movement of ministry for Jesus was threefold: question, action, and assignment. What do you want for me to do? Go. Your faith has made you well. Now pay it forward. Our scripture lesson for today is Isaiah 11:6. The wolf shall live with the lamb, the leopard shall lie down with the kid, the calf and the lion and the fatling together, and a little child shall lead them. On this second Sunday of Advent, you can see that we have the Advent candles here. We have two going. We had faith and hope last week. We have peace this week. And on this second Sunday of Advent, traditionally, we talk about peace, and we also talk about John the Baptist. Now, as I mentioned last week, for those of you who are new here or that you were here before, that we'll be going through the birth story over the Christmas season. And we're going to talk about each of the characters, but we're going to talk about them in a different way. We're going to talk about them first approaching them from the literal point of view, then we're going to approach them from a historical aspect. Then again, we're going to talk about them from a mythological standpoint, and then finally a metaphysical one. So we're going to do this, what John Dominic Crossan calls a matrix focus. We're going to focus about all the things that has to do with this story and how we can make that something and meaningful for us during this season. In the Bible, if you're familiar with it, John the Baptist was born right before Jesus, and Mary stayed with John's mother, who was her cousin, while they both were pregnant. In fact, they talked about it in Luke 1:41 through 42, and it reads, "When Elizabeth heard Mary's greeting, the baby in her womb leapt. She was filled with the Holy Spirit and sang out exuberantly, 'You're so blessed among women, and the babe in your womb is also blessed.'" So this is the first time John and Jesus in the Bible had met each other, when they were in the womb. Both John's parents were of real advanced age. And John then was a miracle child because Elizabeth was old enough that she was too old to bear children. And according to the story, the angel that visited Mary also visited John's father ahead of time, letting him know that they would bear a son and they would call him John, just like Gabriel went to Mary and said that she would have Jesus, and that she would name him Jesus. So the narrative is kind of parallel to each other. And if you don't know much about John, John went on to have his own ministry, and Jesus was a follower of his. Jesus was later baptized by John, and John was later executed, and then that prompted Jesus to go into his own ministry and in his own path. Now that is the literal translation of what you read if you opened up the story. From a historical perspective, we know that John the Baptist was an active preacher during Jesus' time. We do know this because there is historical documentation outside of Judaism and outside of Christianity that mentions John as a real person. So there is historical evidence that he was a person. And we do know that he was very unconventional. He dressed differently, was really confrontational. He was anti-establishment. He was devoted to God and the laws of Judaism, but he decided to do it in his own way. He lived outside of society, and he did something a little bit different than most Jewish people did. He did a baptism, which was a ritual cleansing, which usually happened in the mikveh, or the bathing areas that they had, and he would do it in rivers. And so it was accessible to all people, not just those people who had access to a mikveh. There is actually some archaeological evidence that John was a real person, because there is a structure that was at some point had mentioned John, and it's in there. And so it's something that we know that there was a ministry of some form that John had started. So historically, that is that story. But the thing is that we can go from the archaeological evidence that states that John was a real person, and then we can move on to say there is no evidence to state that John and Jesus even knew each other, that they were even ministering in the same area, or that they even were related, like it says in the New Testament. So we don't know that historically. We do know that literally in the literal translation of the Bible. So this is where the story goes from literal translation to historical translation to legend or mythology. There are stories, many stories throughout history that talk about brothers. And I know that Jesus and John were not brothers, but they were close enough. They were cousins to create this mythology that followed them about brothers. And there is one story that I was looking at the other day that I was reminded that sounds a little bit like Jesus' story, but it is a Roman mythology, come from Roman myth, and it is the story of Romulus and Remus. Now, if you know anything about that, you know it's pretty outside of tradition that we would think of as a spiritual story. But Romulus and Remus were twin brothers, and they grew up as shepherds. And Remus eventually died, just like John did. And then Romulus went on to found Rome, where after John died, Jesus went on to found Christianity, which incidentally became the official religion of Rome. So there is several similarities between those two stories that we all know that mythology sounds the same through time. So you can have a story in the past that sounds like the Noah story from the Samaritans, and then you know that it's come down and it's changed a little bit, and then we have what we have today. And mythology usually goes with the same format. You know, it's always this specific format. But in this specific story about Jesus and John, it follows a story format that is very mythological. And so it would be something that was familiar to those people who were listening to the stories at the time. Now, biblical scholars believe that the author of the Gospel of Luke was introducing the story of Mary and Elizabeth and John and Jesus to coincide with this idea of mythology, something that was really transforming, and it would be something familiar to their ears. So right now, I'm going to use the example of right now we have Marvel movies, for example, and everyone knows what a Marvel movie is. At that time, it would be everyone knows the story about Romulus and Remus. Everybody knows the story about this brother and this brother. So they stayed with this format that was familiar. It's kind of like branding. You know, like they were branding Jesus' story by saying something that was familiar. You know, you see a soda can that's red, and you think, oh, that's Coca-Cola, and you see a blue one, and you're like, oh, that's Pepsi. That's how branding works. And so it was the same thing. It's familiarity that made it popular. And he was trying to bring in people that were not Jewish. They were people that were Gentiles, people who were would be interested in this new faith that's being created with these stories that were told about Jesus and John. So there. And someday we're going to talk about Star Wars in relation to these Bible stories, but not today. That's not, maybe in May. We'll do May the 4th. You know, May the 4th be with you. Okay. May the 4th be with you. Okay. Anyway. So I've given a brief summary of what these things mean, how John's story is a literal translation, in a historical translation, from a mythological standpoint. But now we're going to go into the good stuff, the stuff that has meaning, something that you can really use. And last week I talked about Mary. Mary is the light bringer. She is awakened to the presence of the divine within herself. And she listened to that still small voice within her, pushing her forward to be able to move in the direction of this light bringer, the bringing of Christ into the world, that awakening of the divine. And this week, John comes into the picture. And according to Charles Fillmore, the founder of Unity and the Revealing Word, it says John the Baptist represents the everyday man, the physical man. His face is turned toward the light in the measure that he recognizes and pays homage to the higher self within the individual. The intellectual perception of truth by the actual physical man, or John the Baptist, which is represented, is not the true light or the Christ, but bears witness to the light and prepares the way for its dawning in consciousness. And later, John talks about, in the book, he talks about, after me comes the one more powerful than I. So you see, John came before Jesus and was pointing the way towards this Christ consciousness coming into the world. He was there from the very beginning, was the one that they talked about in Isaiah crying out in the wilderness, and that he was the one that was preparing the way for this light to come into the world. He was pointing to the way towards this emerging light that was coming in. It was something that he knew was there. He knew it was going to be there. He was like the weatherman, I guess, predicting what was going to happen. But he was there, as many prophets were, taking in this idea of John the Baptist, of Jesus coming in. And so many of us have had people in our lives that represent John, represent those John people that are important to us. Those people see our potential before we do. And they are aware that that potential is inside of us. They need to help us to awaken to that. They are our mentors. They are our teachers. They're coaches. They are our caregivers. And they're our guides. Their insight, knowledge, and wisdom help us to recognize our deeper understanding of ourselves And it opens us up to possibility. And these people who help us, these mentors, these guides, they sometimes sacrifice themselves for our greatest good. Think of a parent who works 2 jobs so she can pay for an instrument so her child can play in band, or pays for a uniform so a child can play sports. Or think of a teacher who pays for her own supplies and pays for some of the snacks and things so her students never get left behind. Or to the nurses who hold the hands of the dying so they don't have to be alone. All of these people represent John the Baptist in this world. They are healers, and they are the ones that show the way. In the reading before, when Robin Meyer said, "Go, your faith has made you well, now pay it forward." Many of these teachers, our mentors, our guides, they were healed themselves at one point. For some of them, they had a mentor that showed them the way. And then they were able to share that with other people. For others, they had no guide, they had no way, and they saw the need. So they healed themselves, and they became healers for other people. All of them practice what is called radical hospitality. The term radical hospitality can be defined as a practice of putting extraordinary effort and emphasis on making people feel welcome. It's about breaking down barriers. It's about opening doors. It's about creating possibility. It's about seeing what's there when somebody else is not conscious of it, you can see it and you know it's there. And when we practice radical hospitality, we are inviting. We are welcoming. We are open. And we are ready. And even if those situations are hard to deal with, something that might make us uncomfortable, they may be out of the ordinary, we may not really see the see the light at the end of the tunnel, but those people, those John the Baptists of the world, know that there's hope and there's faith and there's peace at the other end. We take the time to be hosts to people who need one. Not many people need to be hosted in any way, but sometimes, quietly, they would like somebody to take them by the hand and say, "I will show you the way." So we can be that. We can take somebody who might be alone, somebody who feels like they don't have enough, or they feel like they lack, or they may be brand new and they don't know what to do. We can take them by the hands and we can show them the way. Jesus and John both practiced radical hospitality. They invited everyone to sit at the table. It was abnormal to find people that Jesus hung out with, like the hodgepodge of individuals, let's say the fishermen who represented the poor, and the tax collectors who represented the establishment, and the widows and prostitutes who were outcast women. And the list goes on of all the people that were invited to the table. It was very rare to have them all together. And so the idea behind Jesus and John is that John started it all. He was the one that points to where it goes. He started out forgiving who was lost first. He invited those who had nowhere else to turn. And he healed their wounds through kindness, words of encouragement, and a hope that they would be renewed in their hearts and their minds. The ritual act of baptism itself washes away what no longer serves us and allows us to start over with a clean slate. Even Jesus stood in the line to be baptized by John. He didn't walk to the front of the line. He waited his turn. He was part of the crowd. So metaphysically, we know that John in the story represents the foretelling of light and peace. When we recognize the light within ourselves, we begin to recognize the light in some other people. We share the same light of the divine within each of us. And then we begin to see that invisible thread between all of us that connects us. We become one body, one spirit, and one consciousness. When you love your neighbor as yourself, truly as if that person was you, then how could there ever be anything else but love? And there can never be anything but peace. Jesus foretold all of the light and peace, and he shared that with the world, but John started it off. Of all the people in the Bible, all of the characters that are written about, all of the stories that are about, the person that I resonate most with is with John, John the Baptist. Now, I am not a savior, but I can point you in a direction that you might need to go. I can hold your hand if you need it. I am not Jesus, but I can be healed, and then I can go and heal likewise. I can do my best to welcome everyone, no matter who you are or where you came from or where you are going, what your belief system is. I can be that. I can be not just polite, but I can be authentically caring, and I can serve, and I can guide, and I can heal. Being the witness to the light reminds me of the namaste greeting that we use. Namaste means the divine in me recognizes the divine in you. The witness sees and knows, shares and teaches, sacrifices, and steps back as the light of others shine through. But the light of the witness does not diminish. The light of the witness just hands off a piece of that light to the person that they are serving. And as they do that, their light then shines more brightly, attracting others who are in need. They continue to be the witness. They hold on to this light like torchbearers. The path illuminates before us because we are able to take the piece of that torch and move forward and go through the darkness to the other side where there is light, peace, and love. We come up into a healed space where we are finally healed. And then we too can pay it forward by passing the torch to someone else. The light never fades. It only gets brighter and brighter as it's passed along. In a few minutes, we're going to go into meditation that's going to help us to see our own inner light, to be able to open up to this idea of radical hospitality and peace. But first, I'm going to invite Matt and Becky back for a song, and then we'll come back for meditation.
Peace on earth, can it be? Years from now, perhaps we'll see the day of glory. See the day when men of goodwill live in peace again. Peace on earth, can it be? Every child must be made aware. Every child must be made to care.
Thank you. That's one of my favorite Christmas songs. You're going to make me cry by the end of the day. You're waiting. Oh, let's get into a space of meditation. With our feet planted firmly on the floor, feeling ourselves supported by the surface that we're on. Whether you're sitting in a chair or if you're at home, you're able to relax and lie down on the couch or on the bed. And just being able to take a deep breath. And as exhale, you just allow yourself to get more and more relaxed. Shaking out any tight areas or allowing yourself just to settle in this moment. There isn't anything you have to think about for the future or anything you have to worry about that's past. There is only right here, right now. Even your body isn't of concern anymore. It will do its thing without you. So I'd just like you to get into a space of expansive consciousness, where you know this consciousness is within your body and it's coming from yourself, but it is expanding out beyond you. And as your consciousness expands beyond you, it connects with everyone around you. You are no longer separate. You are one body, one spirit, and one soul. And you share this with everyone you meet. The energy of the heart reaches out to many different people. We don't even know it. When we're stressed, others feel we're stressed. When we are calm, they feel our calm. And we allow this energy to expand and continue to expand beyond the people sitting next to you. And we allow it to expand further to the people outside the window, the people standing in the snow, ready for the day, whatever that may be. And we send them love and we send them peace, and we are all connected. We are all one. No matter where they are, what their belief system is, what their cultural identity or whatever identity they have, they are part of us and we are part of them. Let's send them love and peace and guide them on their way. And we will fully expand and expand and expand. We go beyond our neighborhood into the community, into the city. We bring to our awareness people who need healing. They may not be people we know, maybe people on the side of the road that look like they are struggling. And we can bring that into our hearts and know that they are not alone. We are with them. Send them love and peace. Even if they're not in our presence, we are still practicing radical hospitality. Because we don't know that person. We don't know what their circumstances are. We just know that they look like they need a little bit of a hug. We call it a heart hug. So we give that person a heart hug. And now you can continue to expand your energy out into the country where there are many wounds that need to be healed, and we are healed healers. We've opened our consciousness. We have awakened to this Christ presence, and we are moving forward with that. So send that healing light out to whomever needs it. The energy is very responsive, and it has an intelligence that's beyond our understanding. It knows exactly where to go. You are just the conduit for it. So allow it to move through you and as you into the world. We're going to expand one more time, and this time we are limitless. Our energy is expanding way beyond what we could ever comprehend. And then we are part of the cosmos, of the universe, and beyond. We are stardust. And we're just part of that again, and we feel that. We embrace that, and we become the lights in the world. We are the torchbearers, and we pass it on. And as we come back into our bodies, allow it to be a slow integration, bringing that energy back to you, knowing that you have left enough energy in the world for it to go to wherever you need it to go. It already has an understanding of where it needs to be. You just bring back the energy that you need for yourself. Say thank you for this opportunity. Thank you for this energy, this divine light that's within me that I carry around in this world. And I thank all of those who have helped me to see that light. I'd like you to take a deep breath in. Feel yourself within your body again, feeling the surface that you're sitting on, your feet on the floor. Take another deep breath in. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. And I'm going to invite Matt and Becky back for a wonderful song.
Garment of life, be it tattered and torn. The cloak of the soldier is winter withered and worn. But what child is this that was poverty born? The peace of Christmas Day. The branch that bears the bright holly, the dove that rests in yonder tree, the light that shines for all to see, the peace of Christmas Day.
The hope that has slumbered for 2,000 years, the promise that silenced 1,000 fears, the faith that can harbor an ocean of tears, the peace of Christmas Day. The branch that bears the bright holly, the dove that rests in yonder tree, the light that shines for all to see, the peace of Christmas Day. Add all the grief that people may bear, total the strife and the troubles and care, put them in columns and leave them right there, the peace of Christmas Day. The branch that bears the bright holly, the dove that rests in yonder tree, the light that shines for all to see, the peace of Christmas Day. The branch that bears the bright holly, the dove that rests in yonder tree, the light
so proud I didn't cry. Oh, that brings back a lot of memories. Okay. I'm a big Muppet fan. And for those of you who don't know, that's a John Denver and Muppets compilation. Oh, my goodness. Okay. I'm back. We've come to this portion of our service where we open our hearts to give. All donations that we receive here at Unity of Tacoma go to the missions and ministries and the wonderful music that we have here. And we are so grateful for everything that you provide for us. And there are so many different ways we can give. You can give via Facebook, and you can go to www.facebook.com/Unity of Tacoma to give via Facebook. You can go to our website at unityoftacoma.org/donate to give via PayPal. You can donate through Zelle using our telephone number 253-576-3225, or you can mail a check to Unity of Tacoma, P.O. Box 112289, Tacoma, Washington 98411. And as we prepare to give, I'd like you to hold the intention of prosperity with you in your hands, visualizing the circulation of abundance flowing through you and as you. Jesus said in Luke 6:38, "Give and you will receive. You'll be given much, pressed down, shaken together, and running over. It will spill into your lap. The way you give to others is the way God will give back to you." And as you visualize holding your gift within your hand, please repeat after me. Divine love flowing through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. I am grateful for my blessings today. I am grateful in every way. And so it is. Amen. May the blessings that you give bring so many blessings back to you. We are so thankful and grateful for each and every one of you. You here in the building, and also you online. We appreciate you. I'd like to go into some announcements. I know we're pushing it a little bit, but I do see the snow coming down, so I'd like to be conscious of everybody's safety. Next Sunday, Stephen Plummer will be, start that again. Next Sunday, Stephen Plummer will be back with us, and we'll be observing the third Sunday of Advent, which is love. So our color theme next week is red and pink, and wear hearts and representation of love. Our Christmas Eve candle lighting service will be held here at Surge at 5:30 p.m. and Stephen Plummer will be our musical guest that night. So I'm looking forward to that. She has a good lineup of music, and I'm excited. So be prepared to sing along. You know how Stephen is. She loves to have a sing-along. There will be no in-person services on Christmas Day, which is the Sunday this year. But we will have a short recorded prayer message at 10 a.m. that you'll be able to listen to and tune into. And there will be no in-person services on New Year's Day, which is also on a Sunday. And there will be a complete recorded message on that day that'll start at 10 o'clock. Our first service back on January 8th will be having our burning bowl ceremony. And on January 15th, we'll have a white stone ceremony. So we're going to be starting off the new year with our traditions of cleaning the slate and creating our own realities for the next year, 2023 already. So I'm excited about that. Our benediction for today is by Ralph Waldo Emerson. There is a principle which is the basis of things, which all speech aims to say and all actions to evolve, a simple, quiet, undescribed presence, dwelling peacefully within each of us. We are not to do, but to let do, not to work, but be to worked on. And to this homage there is a consent of all thoughtful and just men in all ages and conditions. To this sentiment belong vast and sudden enlargements of power. We are one day to deal with real being, the essence with the essence. I want to thank you for being here today, and braving the winter weather and how beautiful it's going to be later after we're all settled in at home. And so thank you for being here. They're going to take us out with our peace song. If you know the song, please sing along. If you could stand, that would be great. And we'll send us off into the new week.